Hello everyone! So I thought I would do a slightly different video for you all today. I thought I'd do an unboxing video. I received an exciting package through the post this morning that I was waiting for a little while for, something called a Lenormand deck. It's not to be confused with tarot, it's a very different beast, but they are both cartomancy divination tools. So tarot started in 1400s, 1500s with a card game called Tarot or Tarocchi, and then was later morphed into something for divination, and same with Lenormand. So Lenormand started being the game of hope or the game of good hope. That was a 36 card deck in about the 18th century, and then morphed into what we now know as the Lenormand deck. Lenormand is named after a very famous French cartomancer called Marie-Anne Adelaide Lenormand, who lived between the late 18th century and the early 19th century. She was known as the Sibyl of the Salons, and she read for a huge amount of famous people at the time, and she's considered one of the greatest cartomancers of all time. She never used this deck. It was a fabrication by publishers after she died, based on what she was doing, but not really, mostly to kind of make money on a famous name. That kind of happens quite a bit in history, especially with philosophers or seers. So Nostradamus was quite famous for having an awful lot. Agrippa as well, Cornelius Agrippa, who's 3 books of occult philosophy, and then there kept being extra ones added on that are kind of pseudo Agrippa. So it was kind of a cap-in. It only came to the attention of English-speaking worlds much later. Over the last 20 years we've kind of known about it because it kind of caught on in Eastern Europe and some of South America, like Brazil area, and it's only kind of gained attention in the last 20 years. I don't read it. I wanted to get a deck to better understand it and play around with it. They are a 36 card deck with symbols that are kind of almost based on tasseomancy, like the reading of tea leaves or coffee grind reading. So they're very different in comparison to tarot. Tarot's quite almost philosophical or psychological. It looks at different layers, and there's an awful lot of fluidity in readings. Lenormand is kind of likened to being very, very decisive, exact, and straightforward. It just says, it's very blunt, it just says what it's thinking, kind of like the quirky younger sister. So I wanted to get a deck. The process I did to find this deck is very similar to what I suggest in how to buy your first deck in the tarot videos that I've done. I preliminarily looked at Eclectic Tarot and looked at some of the images and kind of how they looked. So here's one that I did consider, a Nino Lenormand. Oh, let's get rid of that ad. And just looked at how the images looked. One thing that I didn't like the look of, which I did come into my considerations, was like this. Some of them have, I think it's quite historical to have the cards down, even though there's not 52 cards like a playing card deck. Some of them are assigned to playing cards. I didn't like that because I read playing cards, so I didn't want to jump onto reading those rather than the symbols in Lenormand. I wanted to kind of complete break, so I purposely chose this deck so it didn't confuse my brain with like symbols that I did know how to read and do know. So what did I end up getting? Well, I ended up getting this deck here, the Chelsea Lenormand. The Chelsea Lenormand is by a company that I will continually mispronounce through this video. It is, I don't know whether you can see that, Malpertuis, T-U-I-S designs. I will continually call it Malpertuis because of unfortunately a Latin education. So if I keep calling it Malpertuis during this video, please ignore me. It is Malpertuis. This is their website. And that's how it looks. They are an independent designers. The guy that designed it originally is Neil Lovell. Unfortunately, he died a few years ago, and it seems to be being run now by his brother, I think, Joe Lovell. There's the announcement on the homepage. So he's reprinting and selling the designs that Neil did. They are fantastic designs. I want so much on this website. It was very hard to pick. They've got a fantastic Tarot Lenormand section. The tarot deck is kind of raved about. It's this Tildwick tarot that is different because it doesn't contain any pictures of people in it. But I gravitated towards these Chelsea Lenormand decks for wanting to kickstart my Lenormand journey. So they come in two different types. They come in Lenormand Blue, which is what I've got. You can see that they've got very Rider-Waite-Smith style colouring. And they also come in this red, this more limited palette along the red spectrum. Yeah, so if you want something a bit more bright and colourful, go for this. If you want something along the red tone, go for that. Yep. So I thought I'd go for the Rider-Waite-Smith style bold primary colours. He does say that it was one of the hardest decks to get right. He mentions it here. I went through many different revisions of this deck before finally arriving at the style I was satisfied with. Of all the decks I've worked on, this has been the hardest to get right. You can really tell it in the artwork, even just in these three pictures. They are really well thought out and really stunning. So I just wanted it for my collection. The typeface and the font is just stunning. So I've picked it up, opting for this rather than the other one. And this is what's come through the door. So this is in a tin. You can see it's a metal tin case, which is obviously great quality already. It was the price of £40 plus postage. And it is limited edition. So this is limited to 500 copies. The way I'm seeing the Joe Lovell work, the brother, is that he is reissuing some of the prints because obviously, unfortunately, Neil's not around, so he's not designing more decks. So what he is doing is he's reprinting them, but putting obviously that they're not their second print or their second edition. So those people that are collecting them for rare editions and not ever opening them, unlike me, will be able to kind of put them by, and they will probably accumulate in value. They are an independent designer, so they're not being published in huge 1,000 copies because that's expensive. So it is kind of be first come first serve for it. So here we go. On the back it says that it includes a full colour booklet, which I'm quite excited about because they're normally little white books, and this one has colours and additional colours. I have no idea what that means, but we shall see. So here we go. So let's give it an open. Oh, how do you do this? So there you go. As I referred to in my previous video, remove the suffocating cellophane. Good quality tin, slick, kind of shiny surface, no matte productions, all opened very easily. Love the backs already. That's a really well designed back. Normally on the backs of cards, they've had less production work than the fronts. Sometimes they go for the standard publisher's style. You can see that they haven't here. I don't think there's reversed meanings in Lenormand, so the fact that this is not reversible won't matter. You can see that they've designed them in the same colours as what the fronts will look like. And I like the fact that they've packed it upside down. That's the colour booklet. So let's have a quick look through that. Okay, so it's kind of a matte paper on the inside. Card meanings, primary images, inserts as people, card combinations, same-sex couples. Oh, that's good. That's interesting. That's a rarity. I like that. Thank you, Neil, for that one. Basic card layouts, first principles, and strong reading and grand tableau. The grand tableau is the kind of the spread of Lenormand. You either read like 2 or 3 cards together. They're always combinations. But there's a way of kind of laying out the full deck in this big, I think it's 6x6 square, and then reading the meanings dotted throughout. It's way above my ability as a reader. Like I said, I'm very new to Lenormand, so I'm going to be quite small print. Those of harder seeing will probably have to use a microscope. The white on coloured background is an interesting choice for a designer. I probably wouldn't have chosen that font because it can become very tricky to read white font, so do bear that in mind. And the images, a little bit tricky, but at least they're kind of pointed out of what they mean. It's a perfect binding on this, which means that if I bend it too far, I suppose it might fall apart, but it feels like it's quite good quality. Let's have a quick look at this same-sex couples section because I'm intrigued. Here we go. So it says the deck includes 2 versions of both man and woman cards. The extra cards have been included for readers who wish to make readings concerning same-sex couples. In this scenario, the alternative man and woman card replaces the man or woman card. So, for example, a man with a male partner, or hoping for one, would remove the woman card and replace it with the alternative man card. In resulting layouts, this card would represent another man. The main card continues to represent the inquirer himself. Similarly, a woman with a female partner would discard the man card and replace it with the alternative woman card. How readers choose to use these extra cards is entirely a matter of personal preference. I know gay readers of both sexes who still prefer to use both man and woman cards, since there may indicate people other than lovers and partners. These extra cards are included purely as an option for those who wish to use them. So, good consideration there. I like it. My first instinct is, did we need to keep with the genders? I'm not a Lenormand reader, so I couldn't tell you whether we could just do androgynous person cards. But could we? Yeah, that's my question. Could we have done androgynous people cards and got rid of this binary gender system? But for a LG, maybe B reader, that's quite cool. It's a good consideration. I didn't expect that. It's not something that I've read about, so that's cool. The booklet seems pretty comprehensive. It looks like I can read this and kind of start reading, which is good because I was going to start using the Tabby forums. I was going to use the Tarot Association for the British Isle forums. If you're not a member, it's really cheap to become a member, even if you're not a huge tarot card reader. It's probably worth it. I will put a link below if you're up for that. But yes, so anyway, further reading, fantastic, great. I am a reader, so I probably be referring to that. Card meanings, yep, pretty standard. Yep, interesting it's not. I do note that it's not kind of talking about where the artwork has come from or the considerations of the artwork, but I imagine that would make a very large book and other decks, other Lenormand decks on the back pages. Interestingly, they've got a couple that I don't recognise from their website. This Sputnik, I don't know whether I can zoom it, there you go. June 2015. Retro deck takes inspiration from vintage illustrations from Eastern Europe, due for publication in 2015. It'll be limited to 500 copies. I've not seen that on their website. Let's just have a quick look. Make sure that I'm not saying something that is wrong. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. So there's the Lenormand Chelsea, Malpertuis Lenormand, which I didn't go for because of these the cards that I was talking about. Old Arabian, the Old Arabian is in this booklet. That was just underneath the Sputnik. Retro, no, there's not Retro Oracle. It's the Sputnik Lenormand. No, it doesn't seem to be. So that's a good question. I might drop an email and ask whether that's going to be put onto their website soon. So, little booklet, loving it. Like the considerations of the LGBT. Well, less T, but LGB at least. So well done there. Let's take a quick look at the cards. So, same backs as the main card. This has been on good quality card stock. They're quite thick. Yeah, there's 36 and it feels like a 52 card deck. Let me just grab a standard playing card deck. So that's a standard playing deck of 52 cards. Yeah, and you can see that it's almost the same thickness. So it's on better quality cards. Oh, it's actually slightly bigger. Oh, sorry about the zooming in and out. Slightly better than a normal deck. So yeah, so it's on really quite thick cardstock. I'm glad that was zoomed in eventually. So thick cardstock. By the feels of it, if you are a uber card geek, the cut is from the back side to the front side. I think that's a traditional cut because I can feel the very small lip there. So if you do really fancy shuffles and really impressive shuffles, or you're a magician that wants to use a Lenormand deck, bear that in mind. The lip is cut this way. Backs, yeah, once again, still good. Shiny cover. It's not a matte finish. They're not linen finish. They are smooth finish. It's pretty common in Oracle decks and tarot cards. That will make them a little bit sticky to work with, but we'll try it. Right, so that's the info card. So that's probably going to be put to one side, and here we go. Here's the actual artwork. So that's the rider, normally a man on horseback. This is a man on a camel with like a little falcon by the looks of things. You can see this kind of mottling design. This is not the paper. It's a shiny card. This is the art. This mottled, old-fashioned, vintage French poster style, and the font is very kind of French 1920s ish. Well, not really, because that's kind of quite wide and chunky. But you kind of get my feeling. It's kind of very Art Nouveau-ish without that kind of thickness. So here's two clovers. I'm going to pop those that way so in right order for later. That's really nice. I can see a little bit of a card design here. I didn't see that on the previous one. Oh yes, here we go. There's little, very cleverly and artfully put, so 3, 6, 8 of hearts there. Okay, that's pretty clever, but it's not as shouting, so at least I'm not going to be reading that as a default. Oh, I just ignored what I said. Ship or boat. Yeah, there's the spades. That makes me really think of troubled water, because in cartomancy spades are issues and problems. But we shall see what that means. Probably travel. House. Yeah, you can see just the heart here. This is one of the illustrations on the website, so we kind of knew what this looked like. 5, tree. You've got the hearts in the tree. It's really quite a nice card. Clouds. Snake or snake. Interesting design. I'm not quite sure. This almost looks like a 2, but it doesn't. and then there's this club. So I'm not sure quite what that would be traditionally, whether that's 2 clubs or whether it's just design, which is probably good if I don't know about it. Coffin, interesting choice of coffin. It doesn't actually have a coffin. It has this skeleton that's reaching for a kind of a, looks like a floating card almost, and then you've got these stained glass windows behind him. So slightly different from a coffin. I quite like that. It's a little bit similar to the tarot card I imagine, Death. Bouquet, got the same shape here. Oh, Queen. There you go. It's a Q, everyone. It's a Q. Queen of Spades. And you've got a bouquet of tulips here. So interesting. Tied with raffia. How they get those to be upright rather than flopping all over the vase, I have no idea. Scythe. That's lovely. In a grain of cornfield or wheat field. Lovely. Whip. Bit kinky, but we'll go for it. So whip. Can't see the card. Oh, clubs. Is this Jack J? Maybe. Not sure. If you are a Lenormand reader, you'll be able to tell me immediately. Birds 12. They're quite pretty. Yeah, nice. This child with this, that looks like a J, doesn't it? I think it's a J. Fox. This, yeah, I saw this card on the Eclectic Tarot Forum and I really loved it. I've got a bit of a fox thing. I really love foxes. So I knew there was a fox card, so I did actually compare the fox card of a couple of decks to see whether it was a really pretty fox or too artsy or too abstract. So this was, you know, my top pick of fox cards in Lenormand. That's a video waiting to happen. Bear. Yeah, you can kind of just see it. A dark face here. Stars. Yep, nice. Do I want a big star here, like it is in the tarot? Maybe. Yeah, I would have possibly liked a big star, but it's nice. It's I suppose it's more realistic that way. Stork, Queen of Hearts. Nice stork. It's very French actually. Dog, Le Chien. You can see the little hearts again. Very nicely done. Is there anything on there? Is there? Oh, wait for it to load. No, I can't see anything. I was just waiting to seeing whether there was anything on the dog medal, but there's not. No. Okay. Tower. That's a really lovely card. You know, that I would have loved to have seen this adapted into the tarot. I'd have loved to have seen the top blown off with a lightning strike this way. With no people falling down. That would have been a lovely tarot card. It is just a shame that these were not able to be replicated in Neil's life as tarot cards. I imagine if he pulled out his hair for these, I imagine that would have been even worse, but really pretty. The Garden, number 20. Yep, I can kind of... I'm looking at this, I'm imagining children at the gates and some royal member saying give them cake. It's very opulent, very country garden style. I think Neil lived in London, but I think he studied in Oxford, so he's as far as I'm concerned a local boy. So yeah, you know, this is quite an Oxford country home style gate. Or one of the manors. That's interesting. That's very graphic, isn't it? It's a very graphic design, very jaggy edges, nice colour picking. Yeah, you see these little. It's almost like a graphic pattern that he's chosen, and he's kind of deleted holes in that repeating pattern. That's really clever. That's a very good bit of graphic design there. Paths. like that. It's very nice. If I'm bored, I will try and find my way out of that maze. It's like one of those old child games where they give you a map and you've got to draw a line all the way around. Yes, I quite like that. It is quite nice. I do kind of wish there was a ball bearing in there just to play around with it. Here we go on mice. I quite like that. I didn't know there was a mouse card. Yes, I do quite like that. He's captured the mice very well. Look at how kind of curious and sniffing they are. That's brilliant. I used to own rats. As a kind of a quirky fact about me. So yeah, he's definitely kind of captured that mischievous playfulness that rodents have. This kind of scurrying across, stealing little bits of food and sniffing things curiously. So good sign of an artist there. Heart. Yeah, you can see it in the background here, going around. And then he's got this once again beautifully graphic repeating pattern over. He's really exceptionally good at these repeating patterns, this continuous design across decks, like similar to the card backs. This very good patterning. Yeah, it's really quality style artwork. I bow down to the man because I'm not artistic to that level. Ring, fireworks, or it could be almost like a dandelion head, but I think it's a firework, but yeah, a little bit dandelion-y. Clubs there, really nice, very nice. Look and feel. Book. We have a book card. Yeah, that's the Library of My Dreams. It looks great. Nice. Letter. Yeah, we saw this on the website. Little bird carrying a letter. Really nice picture. Very clean, very crisp, very fresh. I'm loving all this white space. Technical name for it, but this kind of undesigned space on it, just surrounding that letter. I think that looks really cool and crisp and clear. Man. Yeah, so we've got the A here, very cleverly designed so that the hat leaping off becomes the section in the A font there, and the heart, Ace of Hearts. Man, acrobatic man, really good, nice and clear. 28 man, so this is the other alternative man. So if you were doing same-sex readings, you'd be able to use both. Both of them are 28, so you're not going to get confused, but they're different designs so that you can decide which one's a significator. So if this one stood for my client reading, this is a suitable love, and vice versa. So that's pretty clever. Pretty nice. Woman, I love that card. The colours are just impeccable. I'm actually doing some gloves that are based around this design, knitting at the moment. So this is a really lovely designed card. Very classic silhouette on this dress. This, yeah, very 1940s-ish, 1950s-ish style, slightly corseted. And that's the alternative woman. Oh, very sleek silhouette on that one. Yeah, and similar cards. You can see that they are a matching pair. So if you were doing a reading for a lesbian lady, or wanted to include both of the female cards, you can easily tell the difference. But they are definitely a matching pair. Lily, a card. Yeah, not much to say about that. That's nice. Sun, bright, clear. Yeah, like it. Diamonds. Diamonds in the... Yeah, that's about right. Diamonds. Yeah, I'm just kind of, what I'm doing is I'm just thinking about diamonds in cartomancy, and cartomancy diamonds are spring. So sun in spring. So I really need to make sure that I drop my cartomancy meanings when I'm reading this deck. But it's a nice moon. Love it. Yes. I'm glad that he's put a texture on the moon surface. That looks great. Ooh, there you go, zoomed in. You can see the little card here, which is 8 of hearts. Yeah, nice limited palette. It's nighttime, obviously. Limited palette. Key, really great. Flower of Life there. I know that there are huge Flower of Life geeks out there and people that love that image. So that's quite cool if you are one of those people. The diamonds are down the shaft of the key. And I like how the key is fitting into the lock like that. It's really nice. And there's some black white space around it, keeping the design very simple. Like it. Fish. We've got some koi carp here, and there's another one there. We've got a K for King of Diamonds. I like how he's echoed this line in the diamond to this line in the fish. See that? And he's done these big circles like water ripples around the edge. So he's really thought about that design too. You can see the kind of care and the consideration he's taken into these designs and why it's taken so long. So for 40 quid, yes, it's a 36 card deck, but the quality is exceptional. So here's another one of his repeating patterns. Not as exciting as some of the other repeating patterns we saw, but it does have an awful lot more colours on this card than it has in previous cards, you might notice. So we've got this kind of dusky pink here, a yellow, a red, a green, grey, a different type of light grey, a white, a blue. So we've got quite an awful lot of colours in this anchor here, compared to other cards, but the repeating design isn't quite as sexy as the repeating designs. Cross, nice, yeah, reminds me of Brazil slightly. I mentioned like this cross on by the sea, but it's nice, very clear of what it is. Can't quite make out which card of the normal playing card deck it attributes to. I'm guessing clubs because of the little tiny club sign there. It's not quite very clear on this card whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of clubs maybe, but not sure. And a Joker. Yeah, this looks like Pan, the mythical figure. Like, it definitely looks like he's got kind of the hairy legs, and the little pan pipe there, frolicking through some fields at dawn or sunset. Let's say it's dawn. It feels like it should be dawn. And this kind of foliage to either side, framing the Joker in the middle, who is a blacked out silhouette that we've seen similarly in the female and the male cards. So nice, very nice. So the colour palette is generally consistent across the cards. They are this muted, earthy, slightly airy colours, I suppose. They very much match the style of the Rider-Waite. So if you are a Rider-Waite reader, this might be something that you naturally gravitate towards. It doesn't look like, on my first surface quick flick through, that he's using the colours to symbolise anything specifically. He's not saying, you know, like the red is a fiery card, the blue is an airy card. And I know that the Pamela Coleman Smith can be red, like that, the predominant colour indicating something. So it doesn't look like he's done that with these cards. I do know that he has done it with a couple of his playing card decks, which are on my wish list to buy. The feel of them, pretty good. Just playing around with them. I don't want to shuffle them yet just because I want to go back and learn the meanings, but they feel smooth. They feel thick, so they're probably not brilliant for a ruffle shuffle. If you are a ruffle shuffler, they're a little bit too thick for that. They probably do the lip makes it pretty hard for a pharaoh shuffle if you are a magician. But overall, I'd say they are pretty good. So very high quality. For the price of 40 quid, you do get a metal tin, a very good, well designed little white book that is in full colour with a really quite nice thick cover on it. You do get a full deck that has been considerate towards LGB readers, lesbian, gay and bisexual readers, but probably hasn't gone the extra step to include gender non-binary people, gender queer people. You know, why do we have to have those genders in there? Like I said, I'm not a reader, so feel free to shout at me below and say, no, we need this because of this and this and this. But is there a possibility to have a gender non-binary deck? But overall, pretty impressed. For the price, I think they're a really good quality card. They are very different from what else is out there. And you can kind of see the determination and the hard work that he's put into designing that deck. So I will give it a good attempt over the next few weeks to do some preliminary readings, and if you guys shout at me enough, I might give a trial reading with this deck on a video so that you can kind of see it in action. But remember, I am not a Lenormand reader. I have got this deck to start learning, so make sure you cut me a slack if you're a professional Lenormand reader and you're then watching my video. It'll be quite embarrassing. But anyway, so if you like this, I will try and do some more unboxing videos as I get new decks. There are some on my wish list. Some of them are just playing card decks for cartomancy. There will be maybe another Lenormand deck that is on my wish list, and a good couple of tarot cards that are on my wish list too. So I will do some unboxing videos on those. Please like and subscribe to the videos, and if you haven't checked out the rest of my videos on tarot and looking at the major arcanas specifically, please go and check those out. Thank you very much for watching, and speak to you soon. Take care.